Good afternoon, America. I'm Eric Erickson. Thanks for tuning in for the 4 things to know this afternoon. As always, we're cutting through the noise and getting to the truth behind today's headlines. Let's get right to it. Our first story is about the latest standoff in Washington over federal spending. President Trump is turning up the heat on Senate Republicans, threatening to withhold his endorsement from any Republican senator who votes against his $9.4 billion rescission package of spending cuts known as the Doge Cuts, the Department of Government Efficiency. The cuts target a range of programs, including public broadcasting and foreign aid. Some Republican senators, like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, have raised concerns about slashing funding for things like rural radio and health programs, arguing that some of these cuts go too far. Others want to see tweaks to protect programs important to their states. Trump's message is blunt: back the cuts or risk losing his support for your next re-election. The Senate is expected to hold a marathon amendment session next week, with the outcome still uncertain. If the Senate amends the package, it will have to go back to the House, raising the risk that nothing gets done before the deadline. There's always a balance to strike between cutting government programs and waste and protecting services that matter. Trump's hardball tactics are meant to keep the GOP in line, but they also highlight real divisions in the party about how far to go with spending cuts. The PBS NPR cuts, though, they should be absolutely obvious to everyone that it's time to cut those programs. Our second story is about tariffs, inflation, and the ongoing war in Ukraine. President Trump, in a recent interview, defended the aggressive tariff policy, arguing tariffs are necessary to protect American jobs and industries, even as critics warn they're driving up prices for consumers. And the signs are starting to show up that they are. Right now, the average effective tariff rate in the U.S. is at the highest level since the 1930s, with consumers facing higher prices on everything from clothes and cars to food like bananas. Some estimates show that tariffs have raised overall prices by nearly 2% this year, costing the average household about $2,400. Trump also announced a new arrangement with NATO. The U.S. is going to send weapons to NATO, which can then send them to Ukraine, with NATO reimbursing the U.S. for the full cost. This comes after a brief pause in weapons deliveries to Ukraine, with the president blaming the Pentagon, not himself, for those cuts. Tariffs can be a useful negotiating tool, but you've got to be careful with them because they've got costs, higher prices for working families. There's also the next wave of retaliation from trading partners. On Ukraine, the president is trying to thread a needle, supporting Ukraine's defense, but making sure the U.S. is not footing that bill. The third story is remarkable: a massive shifting public opinion on immigration. According to the latest Gallup poll, the surge in concern about immigration that dominated headlines earlier this year has eased. The percentage of Americans who want less immigration has dropped by nearly half to 30%. 79% now saying that immigration benefits the country. It's a significant change from just a few months ago when immigration was the top issue for many Americans. The drop in concern coincides with a decline in illegal border crossings, though the number remains higher than pre-pandemic levels. Still, immigration remains a deeply polarizing issue. Republicans are more likely than Democrats to favor stricter immigration controls, but even among independents and Democrats, support for reducing immigration has ticked up over the last year. The takeaway: when the immediate crisis at the border may have eased, the underlying debate about how to fix America's immigration system is far from settled, and Americans like the results they're seeing from President Trump, contrary to what you may be hearing in the press. Our final story is about President Trump's visit to Texas in the wake of the catastrophic flooding. The President and First Lady, Melania Trump, will be headed to Kerr County today to survey the damage, meet with local officials and first responders, and offer support for the families affected by the disaster. The flooding caused by rapid rises in the Guadalupe River have killed at least 120 people. More than 170 are still missing, including some of the kids still from Camp Mystic. The president has signed a disaster declaration for the region, allowing FEMA and other federal agencies to assist with rescue and recovery efforts. The president has avoided criticizing local officials, instead focusing on the scale of the disaster and the need for unity and support. This is a reminder that in times of crisis, Americans are looking for leadership and compassion. The federal response will be under scrutiny in the federal days for sure, but for now, the focus is on helping those in need and rebuilding shattered communities. As an aside, I've just got to say, if you're a partisan and your first reaction was to blame the government for the response or blame the president for failures, you're worshiping at the idol of politics, and you probably need to repent. This was about families' disaster and putting lives back together, not about your partisan grievances. These are the things you got to know this afternoon before you get home. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. 4 things to know this afternoon. You can find it in your favorite podcast app. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. It helps us grow. I'm Eric Erickson. Have a great weekend. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and please keep the faith.